I've got a boat background as far as I've been boating a long time. Most boats are built with
So hang on just a second. I understand why you have a business. This business is funding all your hobbies. You couldn't afford all this stuff, especially boats. Now, you want to tell me about the airplane stuff now, or we just wait till later?
I tried the airplane thing. I was not good with the landing. I just couldn't grasp the floating before you land.
You were good enough to be here on this interview, and that's what counts. Oh, hearing those tires chirp at the end of the runway is just heaven. Yeah. Adventure doesn't wait for a cracked windshield. Windshield defense by Racing Optics is like a screen protector for your phone. Triple layer, race tested, and installs in just 20 minutes. Save 20% with code JTS20 at windshieldefense.com. The clear choice. Howdy ho, boys and girls. It's time for another Jeep Talk Show interview, and we're very lucky to have John is it Forrester? Can you say it Forrester? It's not spelled Forrester. Okay.
Almost like Forrest Gump with an Forrester.
Life is like a box of chocolates. So we're really glad to have John come back. And as I often say, John, you've been here before, so you know what you're in for. So you came back willingly, right?
Yeah. No arms got twisted here.
And we have Jamie with us as well. But here is some information on John. John bought his 2013 Jeep Rubicon in 2017, known to his family as the Fun Jeep, and fell in love with the lifestyle. John was a farmer Harley guy until his kids came along. He couldn't fit the baby seat on the back. Did you even try, John? I get the feeling that the wife wouldn't let you even try.
Well, she doesn't know, but yes, I did. I did
throw the. I love this.
There was a backrest on there. I mean, now it was only around the block.
That's a man. All right, Dash Poncho was invented when John, living the topless life, being about an hour and a half away from his home, a sudden thunderstorm came about. They always do. If you have the top off, they always do. And ruined the trip. John's Dash was completely soaked and flooded. $2,000 bill to replace the electronics, and the Dash prompted John to create Dash Poncho, a quick to retrieve and install cover for those sensitive and expensive electronics. Since the last time we spoke to John, now he offers JF Tops, so the new company name is JF Tops, with several things and more. We're going to find out more about that here in just a minute. Jamie, I don't have anything for you, so you introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers.
Hi, my name is Jamie Swartz, and John and I have been working together on Dash Poncho for probably since he came up with the idea. John is highly skilled when it comes to building things with his hands, and I have a little bit more skill set on the technical side. So when it came time for him to want to build a website and do some marketing for the brands, he said, "Hey, can you help out?" And I said, "All right, I will help you out." So we've been working together since 2021 on Dash Poncho, but obviously we've been working together for way longer than that. We've known each other for a lifetime. So, but I work in the IT sector for my day job. This is kind of my side hustle along with John. I work on the product marketing side, but I've always been a huge outdoor enthusiast. I'm a big traveler. I'm a big adventure junkie. And so when John got into Jeeping and said, "Hey, kind of come check out these different things that I'm doing," I got hooked almost right away. And so
it's easy, isn't it? Did you have a lifelong desire to have a Jeep? My theory is people really want a Jeep, but they think, oh, people are going to say it's a midlife crisis, or that's not practical, or so on and so forth. And these naysayers, who I think also want a Jeep, will try to keep you from getting a Jeep. And I tell people, get the damn Jeep. It's your life.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have a Jeep in college. I inherited my dad's, I think it was a 1993 brand new. I got it in 1997 Grand Cherokee Hunter Green. I think when I sold it, it had 280,000 miles on it.
And it was still running, damn it.
Oh, absolutely. The only reason I traded it in is because I decided I was going to do real estate. And it was not exactly something you
didn't think that would help sales? This poor girl, look at this Jeep that she's driving. We need to use her for the sale.
Yeah, maybe so, maybe so. But no, and I always intended to get another Jeep after that. And then, life happens, different things. I was traveling a lot and I wasn't really home often enough. And I live in the city. So, really, you don't need a vehicle to get around too much. So it wasn't until really I got a little bit older and started having some more free time to really spend more time outdoors willingly that door opened up again. So I actually bought John's old Jeep. I shouldn't say it's old. It's a 2020 Gladiator, but he decided to diesel up. And so I was fortunate enough to get, his original Gladiator that he'd already put a bunch of money in, which was great.
Oh, nice.
So, I got the upgrades that he did. Yeah. So now we both have one. He's I've got a billet silver one, and he's got, what is yours, Anvil, or you? Oh no, you got you get the Stingray Gray. So, and we have a lot of fun now with both of them. So I'll probably end up getting a 4-door too, because I really like the 4 doors too. But I do love my truck. I have to say, I'm a big fan.
So Jamie, for bonus points, what movie was the line "Use the Swartz" in?
Oh, Spaceballs. Hello. Hello. So I joke because I've had people ask me my whole life. So they're like, "May the Swartz be with you." And I'm like, "I'm with you.
And you say, if you're lucky, yeah.
So, absolutely, yeah.
All right, John. So the last time we spoke about the Dash Poncho, which I told you before we started recording that I've actually recommended to people because I think it's such a well thought product that I haven't seen anybody else with one, and we're not here to advertise them if you know of others, but I thought it was such a well thought out product. It's really easy to get to. I think it attaches to the headrest, the back of the headrest, so the driver can just grab it, pull it out, and cover the dash. Tell people real quick what the Dash Poncho does for you besides make you look cool.
Well, what we realized is, and thanks again for having us back on, but the Dash Poncho has really kind of been the go-to product that the Jeepers are really starting to realize, because with the newer Jeeps, they're carrying almost $20,000 to $25,000 worth of electronics in the dash. And, back when you gave the story of me and my 23rd JK, back then it was a $2,000 issue. Well, these days, you get swamped. It could be a $10,000, $15,000, and there ain't nothing cool about having to replace all that, because when you start getting into a bill that high, get ready to call your insurance company.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It
could be a total. The insurance company may total your Jeep.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just like getting flooded. I mean, literally that all those electronics, if they start, everybody's always worried about the gremlins. Well, there's nothing worse than gremlins in the dash and causing havoc with all your controls, the touchscreen interface, all that. And, so even more so from the JK versions, but these newer JLs with these very large screens and everything on there, you've got to take 60 seconds of your life to pull the Dash Poncho out, even when it's sunny out, to cover those electronics.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And, so it's not just a rain thing anymore. Now, granted, when I invented it, it was because I was upset. I lost it in, a downpour rain. But these days, even with our, maybe I've got a 2022, hers is 2020, but even those 9-inch screens, you don't want to leave them in direct sunlight. So, the 60 seconds that it takes to whip it out, it's still right there on the headrest, riding shotgun with you, and, throw it up, cover all your electronics. And then, of course, be the cool guy that doesn't have all the messed up electronics. And while your friends are pouting over there, having to spend a bunch of money.
I could see a situation where you're out, you're parked somewhere on the beach or whatever, and a storm comes up, and everybody's got their tops off, and the Jeeps as well, and that you run over to your Jeep, you pull out the Dash Poncho, you cover up that dash, and people go, "What the hell is that? Why don't I have that?" So I can well imagine it sells itself, during those unfortunate situations.
You'd be surprised, though. I feel like it's one of those things we still have to show people. A lot of times they're like, what's the Dash Poncho? What does it do? And as soon as we show it to them, it makes perfect sense, right? But if they were just to walk by and look at it, they'd kind of be like, what? Oh, it's for your dash. And we hear people all the time like, oh, it's a dashboard cover. But really what we've learned, and this is, by the blessing of our customers, especially in the Florida area, not just from rain protection and sun protection, which, when I'm on long car rides and I have my phone on the dashboard, sometimes it'll tell me it's overheating. And
yes, the phones can get hot. Yes.
Driving and air conditioning, right? But one of the things that we hear down in Florida often is there's these little sandstorms that pick up, and I can't tell you how many folks that we've sold a Dash Poncho to specifically for that reason, because when these little sandstorms come up, the sand gets in their key locks and their ignition switch, and they have to literally disable their alarm system just so they can even get their cars started again. So it's just all these other little things that we didn't even think about when we started with it, that was really the purpose for it, and how the application of what's really important for people and how they use it. So it's been a kind of a really cool journey to hear from others what's important to them.
So I'll put up a video here so people can have a view of what the Dash Poncho is, but just a verbal description would be, this isn't something that just covers the dash. It goes all the way up to the top of your windshield unless something's changed. So it covers it from the top of the windshield all the way past that, including the steering wheel. So there's no really easy place for rain to gain egress into the top of your dash. So it's more than just covering the dash and the electronics. It really covers the entire thing. I mean, it's bad enough when you get caught out in the rain, your carpet's going to smell like a wet dog for days. But that's a lot easier to deal with than, like you said, the multi-$1,000 bill for replacing the electronics.
Well, and just like you were bringing up, I'll just kind of clarify. And yes, the Dash Poncho does go up underneath the window frame, suction cups underneath there. And the whole goal of that was, of course, to get it underneath that window frame as close as possible to minimize anything getting through. And we've actually updated some of our videos on how to, and, installation videos where, we kind of really educate everybody. And this is, our point now is look, even if you don't have a Dash Poncho, I'm going to give you a little secret. Drop down the sun visors.
Sure.
Always, because as I tell everybody at the shows, well, everybody knows them as a sun visor, but when they're up, they're known as rain gutters because they literally force the water. 50% of the water, when they hit it, goes the direction of the window, and then it just basically goes straight down to the dash. So, a little tidbit and helpful hint, until you order your Dash Poncho, if you get caught in something, get the visors flipped down. That's going to minimize your exposure into the water going into the dash. And of course, just check out our, videos at jftops.com. And then that way you can always, see the videos, see what the product's doing. But yeah, all those stories that Jamie was enlightening you about, we hear so many, now we're going on our 4th year of being, having this product out and doing the shows. And we get so many customers coming back, thanking us for, it just saved them so many times when they realized, what the product could do for them. And, it's very nice to see that. And I think I was telling you before we kicked off the show that, we're noticing this year at the shows, we kicked off with Daytona, then we had Panama City, then we had Jeep in the Coast, but we had multiple people coming up that have already learned about Dash Poncho from one of their friends that was able to show them how it worked, or they saw somebody using it. So the hard work is finally paying off. We're seeing the return on the back end now. So we're kind of excited about that. It's just, again, it's still a fairly new, in the big picture of things, it's a fairly new product. So an education process is still going on, but it's coming around. We're excited about it.
Very, very cool. So I meant to check with you on this before we got started. So the website was dashponcho.com originally. Is everything now at jftops.com?
Jamie, you want to reiterate on that?
Yeah, no, so dashponcho.com is still available. You can still go to dashponcho.com and purchase the Dash Poncho. But one of the things that we kind of made an executive decision on is, Jon, he's so creative. And one of the other products that he actually had before the Dash Poncho, but wasn't really marketing as his tonneau cargo covers. And so really he, was building these for friends, family, folks, kind of up in the DFW area where he lives. And it started where, what used to be a couple orders a quarter started turning into, more orders a month. And then now, it's multiple orders a week. And so, we decided to really make JF Tops the primary brand and bring in now with Trail Topper and us doing a lot of partnerships with some other brands too. We really wanted to have a single marketplace for people to go to. And the JF Tops, JFTops.com just made more sense for us to really drive folks there. Just because the Dash Poncho is very specific for what it is. And it is a top. So, at JF Tops, you can go get your cargo cover top, you can get your Dash Poncho top. And then now with our Trail Topper, which is also a top, you can have that top. So we just, kind of decided to do that. But so it's available on both of the websites, but JF Tops is really what we're going to be promoting forward for all of the products underneath our brand.
Yeah. And I think you answered my next question, which was, can people just go to jftops.com and do Dash Poncho and everything else? Yep. So the answer is yes. But if all you can remember is dashponcho.com, go over there. I'm sure you guys have some sort of link or something for JF Tops from Dash Poncho, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. So you can go from both of the sites to each other. So, and I even mirrored them to kind of look very similar. So that way it's not like a huge jump.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's like, is this associated with this? But if it looks the same, it's got to be, or there's a lawsuit pending.
Yeah. So, I was mindful about that too, just because from a user experience, people don't want to be like, wait a second, where am I going now? Why is it going here? So, and we'll keep it, eventually the dashponcho.com site might get, go away and it'll go under JF Tops. We're not there yet. There's still a good reason why we have it up too. We have a lot of our wholesalers and distributors who are only marketing or selling Dash Poncho. And so they do like to be able to reference that without, other products really convoluting what they're trying to do. So, there's some reasoning behind that as well. But yeah, absolutely. They can go to either of the website sites and be able to pick up a poncho or, any of the events. And we're doing a lot of events this year, which is exciting as well. And we always love to meet people in person and hear either sometimes their pain stories. Sadly, I would say a huge amount of our customers is after something bad has happened.
Of course.
But we are starting to see a kind of a turn on that where we have a lot more people being proactive now, which is nice. I like to be able to help somebody before something bad happens. But I will still say that a huge portion of it's like, oh yeah, I just installed my Stinger radio 3 months ago and then I got caught and everything's completely destroyed now. Right. And that always hurts my heart when I hear people, that have gone through those incidents, because nothing's fun with having to replace investments.
Yeah. And I think it's important to mention here, it's common sense to me, but you guys are not warranting any electronics if the Dash Poncho isn't put on, or even if it's used. You guys have nothing to do with damaged electronics. It's just a way to help protect them. So there's no warranties associated with the electronics, folks.
No, and you bring up a good point. So we, Jon, he has a lot of relationships with dealerships throughout the DFW area, and we've been fortunate, that quite a few of those Jeep and dealerships and Ford dealerships we're working on now have picked up the Dash Poncho and sell it as an addendum item because they see the value in it, right? Like they're like, well, if I can help people and educate them before when they've got a brand new Jeep coming out off of the show floor. It really helps them as well, right? That means less warranty work that they're having to do.
Oh, yeah.
And, sadly, there's just a lot of folks that still have the mindset of, Jeeps are waterproof. And they're like, oh, everything's waterproof, and that's just not the case, especially if you've got a newer Jeep.
So, Jon, I know that you want to talk about the newer products, but before we get off the Dash Poncho, give the folks what Jeeps and I think if I remember right, you were looking at doing it for a Bronco as well. Again, correct me on any of this, but tell people what vehicles that the Dash Poncho is made for.
Yeah, it still, of course, is for the Jeep JKs, the JLs, and we actually, the JK version is universal to handle the older Jeeps. So if you've got a TJ and you got a nice stereo and you just want to have a little more coverage, maybe, not have your, airbag stuff sitting out in the open, but you can use that as well. And then, of course, we do have the Bronco version. It's coming along. It's probably not as hot of a seller as the Jeep yet, but, of course, same educational purpose. A lot of these folks in Broncos, they weren't prior Jeep owners, so they don't know what to expect. And, as with the electronics in the Bronco, a lot of big LCD screens, you got a lot of electronics. Granted, some of the stuff is water resistant, but it's not waterproof, which basically, you've got to be mindful of your surroundings. You don't want to get caught and have to deal with it, because most of the components in that Dash are the same components in an F-150. It's not
Right.
much different. So kind of like in the Jeep scenario, a lot of those parts are the same parts that are in the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which is, that's not an outdoor exposed vehicle. So, of course, all your Jeeps, Wranglers, Gladiators, and then, of course, the Broncos, all good for that. We've got plenty of those in stock, are always ready for delivery, and make sure that, you can run around topless with no regrets.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if there's a price difference between the various models, but could you give me a price range or the price for the Dash Poncho?
They all run the same. They're $125, and we do free shipping.
That's cheap, man. That's just cheap. With free shipping, it's like going to Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to. We decided that we could sell, and we do have it on Amazon as well, just because we know a lot of people go there. But we do control that. We try and make sure that the pricing stays, current and basically is fair to everybody that's selling it, because, we are trying to build a market share, and we want to be able to work with other partners. So we do offer wholesale, of course, and we try and be respectful of the other folks that are actually trying to, sell the product and believe in it, because like I said, most of the time the Jeep community, once they see the product, it's like, oh, the light bulb goes off. It's like, heck yeah, I want to be involved in that. Because again, the newer Jeeps have done nothing but get more expensive in the electronic area. Right. There is no mechanical speedometer, mechanical clock, any of that stuff anymore. It's all digital. It's all electronic. So, very important to try and take care of yourself. And again, Jamie brought up the warranty issues that the dealerships, don't want to deal with. It's not. The problem is that warranty doesn't cover it, so it's an issue where the customer finds out that, well, they won't cover the part because the little tab in there shows that it's been wet, or because of inclement weather, they're able to tell that, we can't warranty that. So then it becomes, the customer's upset with the dealership. And well, like some of these bigger dealerships that we're working with, that's why they do it. And once they explain to the customer, say, hey, we just want to, this isn't very expensive. We want you to have this because we want you to go enjoy your Jeep. Nobody goes and buys a Jeep thinking they're going to buy it and just leave the top on, except maybe you, Tony.
That's right. Fat boy in Southeast Texas, there's good reason for having as much AC as possible.
It's just like, and same thing with the Bronco, everybody's buying these Jeeps and Broncos because, like myself, I was a Harley guy. You heard it in the intro. But, there's a time when I want to go jump in that Jeep. I want the top off. And I want to go enjoy myself. That's what I bought it for.
And it's so much safer. I mean, nothing against the motorcycle riders. I'd love to have a motorcycle. I think it'd be a blast. But it's that open air freedom. And you get that with a little more safety in a Jeep with the top off. So I encourage.
Roll cage.
Yeah, I encourage everybody, because you're more likely to survive a crash or have a lot less skin taken off your body if you're in a Jeep.
No
Or you
doubt.
can bring your dog. So my dog absolutely, like that is her absolute favorite thing is when we have the doors on, sticking her head out the window and we have the doors off. I've got her all secured in the back and she's like in heaven.
Yeah.
Like it is her absolute favorite
Oh, the
thing.
smells. They love all the smells that they smell. So we've done a lot with Dash Poncho, and I know we want to get on to the products for JF Tops. Jamie teased us a little bit about it. What do you got at JF Tops? What have you added to the Dash Poncho line of products?
Well, I'll start with it. So JF Tops, actually, the cargo cover has honestly been around as long as Dash Poncho. They were literally invented probably within months of each other because of that first initial trip that I took, and I was topless and realized that, for one, got caught in the rain, had all my stuff, but that same trip, I had all this gear in the back. And of course, I mean, I'm on some pretty heavy trails and I'm worried about, coolers flying out, chairs bouncing around. I got all this recovery gear. We stopped at a store on the way and I had to have my girlfriend at the time, Julie, stay with the Jeep because I was worried that while we were in the store, someone may, grab something out of the back. So within that next couple weeks, I used to build all my own speaker boxes, and I had this vision of kind of, everybody remember the Ford Sport Track pickup that was out? Well, they had this factory OEM plastic cargo cover that came on there. And what I had visioned was I liked the way it sealed and covered. It looked like it was all piece. It was kind of like a threefold type deal back in its day. So, what I envisioned, no one was building. Of course, everything out at the time was made with metal, was a multi-piece system that could take a half hour to an hour to install, and of course, once you bolt it in, if you needed the space, you'd have to take all that out. Well, what I envisioned when I was looking at it was something that I could throw on real quick when I took the hardtop, because I'm a hardtop guy, and I wanted something that I could throw on that wasn't going to be, hard to do. So my design was predicated on being able to bolt it down on the factory bolt holes that where the hardtop bolts onto. So there became the JF Tops cargo cover that was a three-piece system that literally built like a trunk in the back. And by making the two top pieces solid and having it bind together with a 3/4 inch H channel, I built it out of 3/4 inch cabinet grade plywood. Generally it was birch. And then I came to find out, because I was looking, am I going to put carpet on this? But I'm really like wanting something weatherproof. Well, come to find out, after doing some more research, the rhino lining was basically, it adheres to two products, and that's either scuffed paint. You can't, rhino lining won't stick to raw metal, raw aluminum, anything like that. It has to be paint and it has to be scuffed. Well, come to find out, the only other thing it adheres to is wood. Well, I've got a boat background as far as I've been boating a long time. Most boats are built with
So hang on just a second. I understand why you have a business. This business is funding all your hobbies. You couldn't afford all this stuff, especially boats. Now, do you want to tell me about the airplane stuff now, or we just wait till later?
I tried the airplane thing. I was not good with the landing. I just couldn't grasp the floating before you land.
You were good enough to be here on this interview, and that's what counts. Oh, hearing those tires chirp at the end of the runway is just heaven. Yeah. All right, I'm sorry.
That makes me nervous.
Jenny, you are not wrong.
Well, when you're trying to make a good landing, you want to be as good as possible. And then, you hear those tires chirp and it's like, oh, I think I did it right. That's a sound I like hearing.
Well, I had two instances. Me and a buddy, his dad funded him he bought him a little Cessna 150. We called that the Mosquito. And, I'm 6'1", my buddy Kurt was 6'1". We're both 180 to 195. And you want to talk about two guys sitting in literally a Mosquito.
Yeah.
And
it's shoulder to shoulder. And then you start having the discussion about center of gravity.
And literally,
we can take off, but can we land?
we would get around, and him and I would get on each wing, and we'd spin the plane around so that way we could go, take off and fly around. And we were flying out of Denton Airport, and we were flying down to Hyco. And of course, we're flying under the DFW where the planes are coming in. And of course, this is I'm not paying attention, but I am looking down at the ground. And all of a sudden, I see our little shadow, and I see an airliner shadow hit us. And I swear to God, I thought I just died. I thought I was done. And, needless to say, he was at least 2,500 feet above us. And then I swear it was probably that same flight when we were heading to Hyco. It was pretty gusty winds. It was a crosswind. And Kurt, man, he had it down. But, man, we came in for that landing. And literally, I watched the plane. I'm sitting in the plane, of course, and the plane catches wind, and I look out, and our wing missed the dirt probably by about 6 inches. I'm not kidding. That's how sideways we got, and then pulled it back down for the landing. And I was like, please take me home. I'm done. I never got back in that plane again.
I mean, even if you survive the crash, it is so expensive. I mean, if that prop hits the ground, the engine has to be complete rebuilt. So it's very, very expensive. So it's really cool. So I'm thinking the pilot of the passenger jet, the Shadow, they said, look, there's a little Cessna down there. Watch this. This will scare the shit out of them.
Absolutely.
It was definitely a butt puckering experience, I can tell you.
Flying is fun. I haven't done it for many, many years, but it is a lot of fun. All right, I'm sorry, tangent. Right. That's the
so back rabbit to my trails. Boating experience.
There you go. I'm sorry. Did you say probing? So, is this alien type stuff? Because I don't want to hear about this.
Boating.
Okay. Sometimes you hear what you want to hear, right?
Show on the alien probing.
That's right.
I was going to say, we'll do the Area 51 show after this.
All right.
So, needless to say, my experience in boating and understanding how boats were manufactured with plywood, of course. A lot of people don't realize that, but they build boats out of plywood because it's very strong. And then when you reinforce it with fiberglass, it becomes, very solid. Well, of course, everybody knows to do plywood and fiberglass would get very expensive. And to build what I was, wanting to build, if I did have fiberglass, you'd be looking $2,500, $3,500 to be able to do something like that. So when, of course, I realized the rhino lining would adhere, and of course, what it does when it adheres to the wood, it literally turns it into like this hard plastic. It fortifies the wood, it seals it, it basically keeps it waterproof. So all the surfaces are sprayed with rhino lining, becomes a very nice, durable piece. But, there's some people, because it's made of wood, they just don't understand the mechanics of it. And again, another educational purpose of that, when you line it with rhino lining, and this isn't stuff out of a can, it's actually done at a rhino lining shop.
I can see you out there, John, going,
oh, yeah, no. Well, believe it or not, when I first started, I actually did a couple like that.
Absolutely.
And I was like, this is not the way to go. It took almost 4 cans of that stuff to do it. And it was a very messy, stinky process. So
I was going to say rhino lining will actually stick to 3 things. The wood being the last one, but also to the individual.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you gotta be dressed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, the cargo cover had really become successful between all my Jeeping friends, of course, because they see it. And
it's very sporty looking. I'm looking at it at jftops.com right now. I'm looking at the heavy duty one, and it really makes the Jeep look sporty. And we like having not only stuff that makes sense for the Jeep, but also it makes it look a little different, makes it look more like your character, what the things that you want to show off. And this is really neat. And so if people don't already see, or if they haven't gone over to jftops.com to have a look, this isn't like a cover like you'd put on the back of a Gladiator. This covers the back part of the Wrangler. And I think the back seat is still there. So this goes from the back seat all the way back to the tailgate. So you have a nice open area there that you can, I think in one picture I saw that there was an air tank or a power tank bolted on top of it. Hey Jeepers, Tony here from the Jeep Talk Show. You know how you protect your phone screen with a protector? Now you can do the same thing for your Jeep, Bronco, Ineos, or G-Wagon. Windshield Defense by Racing Optics is a triple-layered, race-tested solution that installs in under 20 minutes, right at home or with your local installer. Made in the USA and trusted for over 25 years, it keeps your view crystal clear and your windshield safe from rock, debris, or whatever the trail throws your way. Don't let a rock end your ride. Protect your windshield, protect your story, and keep the adventure rolling. And now save 20% with code JTS20 at windshieldefense.com. That's windshieldefense.com, promo code JTS20. Born from racing.
Yeah, we get guys that can, the good thing about it is, with wood, it's, you can kind of bolt on whatever you want as long as you seal as long as you got a good sealant, the water will never get in there. But we got guys that'll bolt racks on. I mean, I tell folks you can stand on the cargo cover and have a dance party if you want. I mean, that's how strong it is. Mm-hmm. Now, we've been very successful with that model. And actually last year we decided to go ahead and promote it. I hadn't really promoted it because, I still have to personally put my hands on everyone.
I was going to say, you got to make them when you promote it.
Exactly. And now granted, the guys that handle all the CNC cutting and this and that, it stayed pretty steady. And usually what I try and do, and this is where I try and, tell customers, during the off season is when I try and allocate how many I'm going to build and have those kind of ready, setting aside. So that way come, the season, come February, March, when everybody starts calling, I kind of limited on what we're going to have available. So it's always like, don't wait till the end. If you're going to get an order in, get it in, because sometimes it can be a process. If I've got one ready, we usually ship them out, the same week. But if I don't, it's usually about a 2-week process, mainly because I got to get to the shop, work on it after hours, and then get it sprayed. That's a couple day process, and then bring it back to the house, and then I build it. I still have to personally put them all together, box them up. It's a little bit of a process. So with all that being said, and with that tonneau cover being successful. I was approached by a manufacturer to say, hey, we really like your design. How about we make an aluminum version of it and make it a bolt together? And so needless to say, that's kind of why the next phase of this is we've now got an aluminum version, same design, same practicality of being able to just put it on the bed, bolt it on. And where the areas where they were either held together with piano hinges or H channels where they slide together, it's now being bolted together. And honestly, doesn't take any more time than what it takes to install the other one. It may take 5 minutes to install. Right. But the design was very simple, being that the front panel, all the crunch nuts are already in bolt. They're already in the front panel. So all you do is bolt the other two pieces on. So, that has come around because that's a turnkey type product that we're actually going to be able to wholesale down the road. And also, we're in the beginning phases, right? We just got our first batch this year. We're giving it an introductory price of the first batch. So really that pricing you see on there is not going to be around long. So if you go to JF Tops and you're considering an aluminum version, it's very nice. It's powder coated with crinkle paint. It's basically built and it can hold coolers. I've been dragging the same demo model around all these shows. It gets beat up. It's getting knocked around. We keep tools on top of it. It actually holds up considerably very well. Matter of fact, just this last trip I messed up and I forgot to put something between the strap that holds it on the wall. So of course, guess what? It ate through the powder coating. But everybody goes, well, why do you keep using that? I was like, well, I like to show people actually what happens, and what it's actually capable of handling. Well, we know that you don't want to travel 700 miles with a strap with the metal rubbing on it, metal to metal. It doesn't work so well.
Right.
But we're pretty excited about that new product as well. And that's why we kind of migrated back to the JF Tops originally, because that was what the company was actually founded on. Because even though I had come up with Dash Poncho actually took almost 3 years before we went to retail on it, because it was really just a concept. Literally, the story, a shower curtain basically turned to cover the dash. And then of course, turning it into what it is now with the marine grade canvas and the protection and the usability. But so needless to say, JF Tops being a proven product, everybody has really liked it. We've gotten a lot of great reviews on it. And then of course, with the new aluminum, that's why we're kind of expanding that. And then of course, I'm pretty sure we've all kind of alluded to what we're getting to is our new trail topper.
I was just going to say, before we get to the trail topper, I want to ask a question for Jamie and myself. What the hell are you going to do for the Gladiator owners?
Dash Poncho.
Yeah, John.
No, we need something more than a Dash Poncho. We got the Dash Poncho. This is a cool looking thing for the Wrangler owners, but you got anything coming out for the Gladiator to cover the back? I mean, that's a large surface that could use covering, right, Jamie?
Absolutely.
Well, I will tell you this, that I did come up with a pretty cool concept.
There we go. I knew it.
Don't go too much and don't give all the goodies away.
Nah, I'm not. But the problem is that it's probably pricey, and it does have some mechanical things that I've got to figure out. But I literally did come up with a design that I had not seen, and a lot of it came down to being able to haul stuff that would fit. And so needless to say, when you've got your tonneau cover flat on the back, and then you got to fold it up X amount, you still lose space. So I basically, in theory, have come up with a solution for that, and that will offer another aspect. So
how many years do we have to wait for this?
Well, with this manufacturer, I've got to, right now we've got to work on just getting the newer JLs, the 24s, because of course Jeep threw a curveball at me on there, so I had to redesign the tail pieces, the pieces on there. So
those bastards.
We did the wood version. We got all that solidified. We're actually getting ready to do the new cuts for the newer 24, 25 JLs. And I'm hoping that maybe once we get all this solidified and I can, work with their engineers and really kind of come up with a proven concept. But the good thing is, actually, it won't just be for the Gladiator. It'll be for all trucks, because I see.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I see this being a very versatile and more commercial friendly for like a lot of these guys that work out of the trucks. But really to kind of solve multiple, just a tidbit of everybody in the overlanding and all this is I think it's gonna be kind of cool. But yeah, that's
people have tow rigs. Oh, one quick question that I wanted to ask before we get to the trail topper, for the cover, the back of the what's the cover called?
Just a JF Tops Tonneau Cargo cover.
Tonneau. Yeah, I never can say tonneau unless I hear it from somebody first. So is that a security feature at all, or is it out of sight, out of mind security type situation? Can you actually store stuff back there and now it's secure?
Jamie, you want to answer that, or?
Yeah. So they do come with a security board. So you can definitely lock it down if that's what you want to do. Not everybody's interested in doing that if they want to have access to the back of their trunk from the back seat. But
so you could use it for security. So if you've got expensive cameras, or I don't think anybody has hand cameras anymore, but on Nikons and stuff, it'd be nice, especially if you're at the beach, actually to be able to lock it up and still be topless.
Absolutely. So you could definitely put it in the trunk and walk away and not be super stressed out about somebody, trying to break into.
And like I said, sometimes just not being able to see it is security in itself. So
Absolutely. I mean, our Dash Poncho, that's one thing. It's funny when people put them on because we put a lining around them for the show. So we have like this blue lining. So people always ask, oh, can I get it in different colors? And I'm like, no, actually, like on our Dash Poncho, they're completely black outside of our logo. And once you have it on, people walk by when you have it over your dashboard, they don't even see it, and so that's kind of its security feature. With the cargo covers, the same thing. They're so sleek and slim-lined and just fit so nicely that, even a lot of times people will pull the seats back and they'll look and they'll be like, oh man, I didn't even realize, you've got it completely covered there. So, I mean, that's a really nice feature. And we've talked about, making some different mods and things like that where we don't have to use a security board and still have some different ways of securing things. So who knows, John might pop out with a few other little inventions that he likes to surprise me usually late in the year with, oh, hey, here's this new product, load it on the website and start promoting it. But he's always, really creative and trying to listen to customers and hear what customers have to say on, hey, what about this? What about this? And if we can do it and it makes sense, then he'll kind of build it into the desigin.
I think John's always fiddling with things and probably looking forward to doing something different all the time.
He is. And I will say one thing I don't know that he mentioned, the biggest difference between the aluminum and the Rhino lined version is the aluminum, you cannot have a dance party. I guess your kids could have a dance party on top of it, but it is much more lightweight in the sense that
you see, I was going to go with a dance pole, putting a dance pole on there. And I said, no, I'm not going to go that direction. I'm going to be good. And I'm glad you brought it up.
You can do that on the Rhino line version. If you want to have a dance party,
you don't have to have a pole. You don't have to have a pole. You got a roll cage back there. You can hold on to that.
But the pole is going to draw more attention. It's all about sales. All right, so Jamie, we haven't talked about the trail topper yet. Let's get to the trail topper. Tell me about the trail topper.
Well, I'm gonna let John kind of lead with this, and then I'm gonna chime in because this really is his. I mean, they're all his baby. I mean, he definitely. These were all kind of his ideas.
But it's more fun hearing from you, so that's fine. That's fine. You can defer.
I'm getting axed from the conversation as I sit here. I am right here. You
can defer to John. It's all right.
No, that's okay. No, I'll take the lead on this one. I mean, I absolutely love the trail topper. When John first kind of showed it to me, sometimes he'll explain things to me in like short form. And I've learned how to speak John. So I go, okay, you need to show me a picture. Because what you're saying does not make any sense to me right now. So when he kind of, put some things together, and I remember the first time that he started having this conversation, it was with another guy that we met at Great Smoky Mountain. And, the guy was like, it would be really cool because, of course, we haven't been with Great Smoky Mountain long enough to make it to the inside vendorship. We're still on the outside, which is great because all of our products are, really weather permitting products. But that last year, it was just this was 2 years ago. I think it was just super hot that day too. And so the guy that had come up, he was like, man, it'd be really cool if you had like some kind of like, if the Dash Poncho, and he was like referencing the Dash
you guys
Poncho,
would like it too because you could give some shade. Yeah,
and he was like, pop it up over the Gladiator. And at the time, I think at that show we were still using my Gladiator, and I don't have like a sunshade in it. John's does in his Dieselator. So that event, we didn't actually have like a sunshade, where the Freedom panels are, and so it was really hot just going in and out doing demos all day. And so John was like, that's actually kind of a good idea. He's like, we wouldn't use the Dash Poncho. We would need to come up. And like you said, he's a boat guy, right? So John, when he starts kind of going down a rabbit hole, he starts thinking about all the different things. And as a boat guy, and we've had a lot of fun on a lot of the boats. And John, when he says he's a boat guy, he's had many, 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 many boats. And by the way, they're all called the Office. So
do you have to call him captain? Do you have to call him captain and salute him when you're coming on board?
But they all are called the Office. So if he says he's at the office, he's actually out on the water. But he started thinking about like really that ergonomic fit for, and initially when we were thinking about Trail Topper, it was really about trail riding, right? So it was, hey, when you're out on the trails and you get caught in a rainstorm, right? So with the Dash Poncho, yes, you can pop it up and protect your electronics, but no, you cannot drive with it. Then our lawyers do require us to say that. So
challenge accepted.
Yeah.
So, he said, what could we come up with that would offer, the rain protection in a pinch, right? If you did need to drive out of somewhere, still give you the shade protection, but give you, a little bit more mobility. And that's really how the Trail Topper came around was it was initially kind of like, okay, if you're out and you are doorless and topless, especially out on a trail, or you're out on the beach, or you're somewhere far away from where you need to be to get your hard top or soft top, how do you get there, in a pinch and still have some protection? And so he started kind of working on the aerodynamics of really building the Trail Topper to fit on top of the Gladiator. And that was our first prototype, was actually for the Gladiator. It was to cover, the front and back seats, as well as a little bit behind. So if you needed to strap everything down. And, it actually worked out great. And the nice thing about it is, you could drive up to 25, 30 miles an hour with it on. So as long as you're not, boondogging it or going for a night out on the town, it's going to do its job, especially if you're out crawling. We just tested that. John was out in Wolf Creek just a few weeks ago, and it was super hot. And the Trail Topper did its job, right? It was one of those things that came out really nicely, pop it on top, and it's universal. So originally what he first decided to do was just to really have it on top. And then he was like, well, when you're not driving with it, though, what if we just flip it sideways, and then that way you can use it, while you're relaxing? And so then we started thinking about, well, how else could we use it? What other sizes we could do? So what came out of just really kind of a sport edition, which was to fit the Gladiator, then we built out the off-road edition, which fits the four-door JLUs and the JKs. And then, then it was, well, let's come up with a bigger size. So we came up with the 5x7, which we call our Adventure Series Trail Topper. And then we decided, because John, outside of boats and Jeeps, also has overlanders.
I was just going to say, this is like really good for overlanding.
Exactly. So he decided to make he says 7x8, I say 8x7, but a bigger model really for his Land Rover for whenever he was going camping. He has an excursion too. That thing's massive. And so, what's something that you can really pop up quickly that's multi-purpose and is going to give you the things. And as a guy that likes to tinker a lot, sometimes when you tinker, things also break down. So he also thought, like, well, if something did happen, I can also pop this up if I needed to work on my vehicle and I'm stuck on the side of the road or at a campsite and it's hot outside. Now I have a way to actually have some protection while I'm doing that work. So it's kind of funny because it really started out as more of this like tactical solution for just kind of protecting the noggin when you're out on the trail. And then it's really turned into this universal shade awning that has so many more purposes. And it's been really, really cool since we've launched with it to see how people use it. And sometimes they'll send us pictures and I'm like, never even thought about that, know?
This is so just to describe this to people, because it's very hard. I mean, I'll put some pictures up here in the video, but for our listeners, so what she's describing is basically like an awning that you can put on the side of a vehicle so that you have a nice place that you can sit under in chairs or whatever. But you can also, and this was the confusing bit for me, I had to look at more pictures. You can actually put it on top of your Jeep. So if you don't have a top, you're topless, you can put this up on the top. That's why she was talking about driving 20, 30 miles an hour. So obviously an awning you're not going to drive with. This actually covers the top, the open part of the Jeep. And I saw a picture where somebody had it attached to the back of the Jeep. So if you don't want it on the side, you can put it on the back. Sometimes, if you're cooking with the tailgate open, or instead of tailgating and trying to sit on the tailgate, you could put this awning on there and have a couple of chairs at the back of your Jeep. It's like the Swiss Army knife of tops is the way I'm looking at it.
I mean, not just that, you need to work on your engine. You pop your hood up, you can attach it to the top of your hood, right? And then now you've got sun protection. And you don't even need a vehicle. That's the nice part is, so yes, it was built for vehicles. We originally built it to have like 2 fixed points, but really you don't need a vehicle at all. So now what we're seeing, and especially the last 2 events that we were just at, which was, we were just at Jeep in the Coast in Mississippi and Jeep Beach out in Panama City, as well as Daytona. And a lot of the folks that were purchasing them there were buying them specifically to go to the beach. That was literally what they wanted, because they liked how fast and adaptable it was, and that it was multi-purpose, that they could use it for a variety of things.
Well, if you're going to spend your money in it, you can get more out of one use of whatever it is you're buying. It's a beautiful idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I love about really everything that Jon builds, and it's the reason why, and I'm a huge believer of this too, is we as human beings love to buy things and we love to have cool things, but things get expensive, right? And Jon has always, every time we talk about pricing and what are we going to price this at, or how do we want to do this, he always says, Jamie, we got to remember though, it's got to be easy and it's got to be affordable. He's like, if this isn't easy and this isn't affordable, he's like, nobody's going to want it, or it's just it's going to lose its allure because it's priced out of the market.
Keep it simple, stupid. Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. So, all of we've got 4 different versions right now. They all weigh under 9 pounds in the bag. They literally takes less than 10 minutes to set the thing up. You can have your kids do it for you if you want to put them to work and have them feel like they're building some Legos outdoors. And it also is just as fast and easy to take down. It fits underneath the back seat, so you can take it with you. It comes in a nice little carry-in bag. And that's really, as we've continued to kind of evolve the different piece parts. And by the way, we've got, even more things that are coming along with like new accessories and things that we've started to add towards it. And it's all been based off of feedback that we've gotten from consumers and our customers that said, it'd be really great if you had this, or it'd be really nice if it did this, and we really do try to make sure that we hear what people are asking for. And if we have enough people ask for it, then we'll definitely consider putting it in to make that, an even better option for those that want those different additions for it. So, and it's been really cool because we've got kind of like the hardcore overlanders that use the trail topper for a very specific purpose. And then we have, some folks that are kind of just like your lifestyle weekend adventurers that use it for a very different purpose. And it's just really cool to see that.
There's really no wrong use on this thing. You use it however you like, but we'll give you some ideas, but you do you however you want to do it. So Jon, is there any other products that you want to mention before we wrap up?
Well, I think Trail Topper just kind of caps it off, with it being a topper, basically, capping it off. But, Jamie explained it very well. Maybe the only thing I'd like to insert on there is I just want to make sure that people understand how well built this is. When the design was predicated on being on a vehicle and having to withstand 25, 30 mile an hour driving, also, withstanding, tree branches rubbing against it. So the material is actually a 200 denier ripstop material. And actually, after we were R&D'ing it out in the field, realized that, I wanted to make sure this thing, if you're under it, it wasn't leaking. So we went from the normal expense of just having water resistance. We actually went to the waterproofing phase of having all the material lined on the backside, and then also all the seams are glued. So I do want folks to understand when they're looking at this, it's not just some cheap Amazon deal on, you can pick up for $100. It's like, if you expense the money in this, I want to make sure that you're able to use this for years. And the versatility of it, very easily, it's you put it together with the fiberglass tent poles, and all 4 corners have straps. So that way, as long as you've got 2 points of contact that you could strap off of, and this is where it's become a very, very nice piece for the folks that don't have racks or something on their vehicle. We've actually also invested and have a product that's the 4.5-inch vacuum cup. Now, what this does, it can hold up to 90 pounds and you can bolt to it. So what a lot of our folks are doing, if they don't have a rack or something to strap the trail topper onto, you invest in these vacuum suction cups, and literally as long as you've got clean paint, glass, whatever, this will hold the chill topper on anything. So it makes it very nice. And you can do this off of a Tesla. I say that, because everybody knows how smooth the Teslas are. There's no racks on them or no way to attach anything. So, that's a good example of that. But also all the folks with these, Jeeps and or Toyotas or Land Cruisers, Land Rovers, any of this stuff that, they may not have a rack on there, then this is something that they can use. And believe it or not, there's actually this Subaru, side of the Overlanding, and those are smaller vehicles. They generally can't fit a rack on there, but with the trail topper, it's very versatile and universal. You could use this off anything. So someone that may not want to expense or have all the gear up on top, then this carries along inside. You pop it up, you can be enjoying that nice shade, wherever you're at, or staying out of the rain. But
whenever I see a Subaru, more often than not, I see two women in it, or I see a man with a man bun. But you can still use a topper. So.
Exactly. So, and that's what's great about, the trail topper. And this is where we're really going into the overlanding market, not just Jeep, Jeep and the beach stuff, and not that we don't enjoy that. Don't get me wrong, but the overlanding is fun. I like camping. I'm outdoors. Jamie likes doing that stuff. She's really brought another, side to the products that we've had, because of course I'm always thinking in guy terms, and of course Jamie's always thinking in girl terms. And so I try and make sure that when I'm developing these products, it is very
it's
usable.
great to be able to bounce those ideas off of Jamie, because of the women's perspective, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's nice having a different opinion.
I had to, because we've been traveling so much, my yard got a little bit jungly. So when I came home, I had my grass was super high, and I don't really have a lot of shade in my backyard. So I literally took our 8x7 Overlander. I used the heavy duty suction cups, attached it to my two back door glass windows, popped it out, because I'm here in Texas too. It was already 95 degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning. And without that, I would have died doing my yard work that day. And it made a huge difference. I mean, just that little thing and I took a picture and sent it to John. I was like, look, here we go. I got my pop-up patio, right? And so we kind of joked about it. But it was just something that literally it took me 5 minutes to do. And I was able to have a bearable morning of doing yard work. So
I'm a native Texan, lived here all my life in Southeast Texas. So Jamie, I'll give you 2 words to help you out next time you're out there outside getting hot and stuff. Water wiggle.
Water wiggle?
There's so many people that don't remember what a water wiggle was. It was a kid's toy that you hooked up to the garden hose and had these little hoses that would squirt water everywhere. Yeah, the water wiggle.
You know what? I like that idea. We need those for events, John. Can you?
Right. Most of the events we do are pretty hot.
All right, guys. So you know how the kids love the social media. How can they find out more about JF Tops Dash Poncho? Tell them every place they need to go, because I'm sure they're dying to see more pictures than just what you have here on the website, which is the first place you want to go, jftops.com-poncho.com, and have a look at these things, because saying it doesn't do as good as seeing it, and that's always the case.
Yeah,
I'll let Jamie handle this.
Yeah, so I mean, you can go to JF Tops on most of the socials, except for Instagram. It's going to be JF Tops USA. Unfortunately, somebody else already snagged the other
bastards. Yeah,
I know, but we're on. We're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're not on the Twitter. I'm sorry for those that are the X fans, but all of the main socials you can find us on, and we're always trying to post updated content. I'm a little bit behind because we've had so many customer pictures come in over the last couple of days, especially on a lot of these.
That's
cargo covers.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to be updating some of those as well, and we're making a bunch of new changes to the website. We also are a Rockworks distributor too. So if they're interested in the cargo cover and they really like those hard top tie downs, they can pick up a set of those on our website as well. We've been partnering with them for the last year, and we just really love their stuff, and it makes sense for our cargo covers. So yeah, definitely check us out, JF Tops USA on Instagram or JF Tops on any of the other socials, and feel free to reach out and connect with us. Jon and I, one of us will always get back to you if you have any questions, or you can always connect with us on chat on the website as well, and that's jftops.com.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you guys very much for a very informative and fun interview. I appreciate you playing along with some of my diversions, my little trails off the main topic, and we'll have to get you guys back again. And remind you folks, this is our second interview with Jon. It was 2, right, Jon? We haven't done more than 2, have we?
Yeah, this is the second one.
Right.
And I'd also like to bring up maybe, depending on when this airs, but, this year.
Friday.
Coming down the pipe. Yeah, Friday. Okay. Well, then at the end of June, we're going to be at the Lone Star Overlanding event, and we'll be, having the trail topper out there. And then that's going to be in Austin at the end of June. And then we've got Smoky Mountain. We'll be out there. So if you're going to be in the, checking out the Smoky Mountain event, then check us out. We always try and do some kind of show special for coming and seeing us. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to show you the product in person. And of course, don't hesitate to call us. We're having fun with this, and we want you to have fun too.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much, and you guys have a great day. You guys are both in Texas, so just survive. It's June. Just survive.
Summer is upon us.
Broadcasting since 2010.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.